National D-Day Memorial in Bedford celebrated what would have been the 100th birthday of its late founder, Sergeant Bob Slaughter.
WDBJ7's Colby Johnson has more from Bedford on all that Slaughter did to make sure D-Day is never forgotten.
The National D-Day Memorial here in Bedford honoring the life and legacy of its late founder, Sergeant Bob Slaughter, on Monday. The memorial also celebrating with the reprinting of his memoir, Omaha Beach and Beyond.
He was just an incredibly humble person who cared deeply about our history. And he wanted to make sure, again, education was the most important thing for Bob, and that we should learn from events like D-Day.
Bob Slaughter grew up in Roanoke and joined the National Guard at just 15 years old. Just 4 years later, he was storming Omaha Beach on D-Day as part of the 116th Infantry Regiment.
He would lose many, many friends that day. One of the most treasured possessions that Bob had during the war was his Order of the Day, the famous Eisenhower's Order of the Day. He actually had the men in his unit sign the Order of the Day, and 11 of those men would die on the beaches on D-Day.
In the 1980s, Slaughter decided he wanted to pay tribute to his fallen brothers in arms. He retired from his job as a composing foreman at the Roanoke Times and began traveling the country speaking about D-Day. After over a decade of fundraising to create a D-Day memorial, Slaughter's dream was realized in 2001.
He became the advocate for making sure that this history would not die along with those veterans. And many times, a lot of fellow veterans even told him to give up, that it would never happen, but he refused to give up.
April Cheek Messier worked with Slaughter at the D-Day Memorial Foundation for over a decade before his passing in 2012. She says the memorial is continuing his work to make sure the history of D-Day is never forgotten. If you're interested in learning more about the life of Sergeant Bob Slaughter, you can check out the online exhibit on him and his Order of the Day on the National D-Day Memorial's website. In Bedford, Colby Johnson, WDBJ 7.